Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So, this whole 8 questions thing about your fountain pen, hobby and how you started and all that kind of stuff. It's some hashtag that's going around on social media, so I figured I'd make the video. We did it with guitar stuff the other day on our podcast. It was kind of fun. I might do one with pocket knives too. I like the idea. And to do it like once a year or something to document kind of where you are and stuff, because you'll see some of these questions will put specifics on them. So kind of tracks progress or maybe tracks obsession. I don't know which way you want to put that or not. So we'll go through these questions. And then what we'll do after we're done is my fountain pen collection is largely right here. And I'll just give you a brief rundown after the 8 questions so that you know what's in here, because if there's something that you want to see more about, then we can maybe do another video specifically on groups of pens or budgets of pens or types of pens or anything like that specific to this. Stationery is in the middle as far as paper and stuff. And then of course I have a whole nother drawer full of ink. So and we have cases and stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff here. So anyway, let's go through the 8 questions, and then when we get done, I'll just run you through this real quick. Won't take too much time, but at least so you know what's here. So if you're curious, you can ask in the comments, and we'll talk about it later. When and how did your fountain pen journey begin? It actually started not with pens. It actually started with pocket knives. I'm a big pocket knife freak, and so I collect knives and blades of many varieties and firearms and swords, and because of what I do for work, guitars. With all of those things, I really enjoy the engineering and kind of the technology or lack thereof, just like whatever the development of those products is over time. And I think it's really cool. Because I carry pocket knives and I'm so interested in pocket knives, then the whole EDC, everyday carry thing kind of really took hold. And I started collecting EDC pens. So I have a bunch of ballpoints too, titanium ones and various things like that. Then when I was out in Las Vegas, I went to the Montblanc store and I bought a Montblanc ballpoint because I didn't know about fountain pens at this point, but I knew I wanted a really premier ballpoint. So I bought a Montblanc ballpoint. Well, then that just kind of fueled a curiosity, I guess. And I'm like, this fountain pen thing seems to be more trouble than it's worth. So I did some video searching on YouTube. I found Brian Goulet and Goulet Pen Company, and the rest is history. I ordered a Lamy Safari on Amazon, and I wrote with it once and said, oh, now I get it. And I guess the rest is history. Now I have an entire writing desk full of fountain pens and ink and paper. What were your favorite inks in the beginning, and what are your go-to inks now? Okay, so this is interesting. Because I'm a ballpoint person to begin with, I always cared about black. I wanted all my ink to be black. I hated blue ink. I thought blue ink was sort of like, I don't know, I didn't like blue ink. I never wanted blue ink. But a friend of mine gave me a sample of Konpeki, Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki. And I put that in one of my pens and I completely fell in love with it. And so I would say that in my kind of #1 go-to pen right now that is my daily writer, it's this vintage Montblanc 220, and it's got Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki in it. And this is like my go-to right now. When it comes to fun colors, I've got a Franklin Christoph with a Wearingeul ink in it that I really, really like. And I also really like Sailor Manyo Kikyu, which is weird because all of my go-to inks now are blue. How have your ink and pen taste changed over time? Okay, so first of all, I didn't really care about fancy pens at first. I wanted them to be really basic because I came from the EDC side of things where everything was like titanium and super utilitarian. But then you start to realize the art and the talent and the time, that goes into some of this stuff. And now I'm like, man, I want a Rodin pen. I want some Maki-E. I don't have that stuff yet, but I'm fascinated by the art of it. We also have some Japanese in our family history, and so in my wife's family, and so of course we have Japanese swords, and we have a bunch of other Japanese art around the house. So I'm very fascinated with all of the talent and all of the everything that comes out of original cultures, I guess, and also because I'm a First Nations person from North America, doing that history and learning all those things, it's just so fascinating to me. So I want all of the very interesting art piece type pens now. Like all that kind of stuff is very fascinating to me, where before it was just a utility to me. So now the art of it is very cool. And the ink too, it's more about exploring the colors and the art of it than it is just the utility of writing a word, I guess. It's the creativity. It has really brought out creativity in me that I know it's in there because of my music background and everything else I do, but man, it has changed everything and really upped everything a notch. And so I know this is a deeper answer to this question, how have your ink and pen tastes changed over time? This is broader than that, but it has really expanded. It's gone from a utility to a complete love of wanting to explore, for sure. And now I want to find out all the things about all the things and learn everything. Are there inks and pens that you have yet to try but would like to? Yeah. Anything I haven't tried, I want to try. Pen-wise, I really I think I mentioned it, I'd like to have something Maki-E. I don't have any ebonite pens. I don't think. I've got a couple of vintage pieces that have ebonite feeds, but I think that I would like to get into some proper Japanese art, some urushi, stuff like that. Some stuff that I really like to get into. I really like to have a Visconti Homo sapiens. That would be a really cool pen to have that I don't have. So those are some pens that I've not tried one. I've never tried a Visconti Homo sapiens, even at a pen show. So that's something that I'd like to try. What is your holy grail pen? That's going to be a moving target for me because it's all about exploring for me. So right now, the unobtainium for me right now is probably a Namiki Emperor. Or something like that. A grail pen in the more obtainium range is either going to be a Sailor King of Pens because I'm a huge Sailor person, or Homo sapiens, I guess. But not necessarily because I'm just going to get one of those. I want one. But as far as the Namiki Emperor, because that would be sick. I would love to have one of those. That's probably it for me right now. Or any kind of Japanese Rodin or Maki-E, legit urushi Maki-E, urushi Rodin pen like that, in that range. I would love, yeah. How many pens do you currently own? I think I have 22 fountain pens and probably another dozen kind of tricky ballpoint pens, titanium stuff and various things like that. But I think somewhere around 20 or 21, somewhere right in there. And then my daughter has a collection and my wife has a few. Do you have a limit on pens? Is it a number? Is it a feeling? When do you know that you have reached your max? I try to not be it sounds weird to say, but I try not to be super excessive about stuff. I try to be pretty intentional about even my collections. So, I mean, I've been collecting pocket knives and guitars for many, many years, and I'm not saying I've maxed out. I'll still buy stuff, but I don't just buy everything I see. So I don't have a limit, but I do like to use everything. I don't like to have a bunch of stuff not inked up. I like to be able to cycle them and use them all. So I like them to have a purpose. I'm not going to buy a pen that I'll never ever use. I think even if I buy some kind of Grail pen, I will use it. You know, even if it's an Namiki Emperor, even if it's something super, super fancy, I will still use it. It will never be an art piece for me. My most fancy pocket knives, my most fancy guitars, I still use them. And so I want to make sure that I get use out of them. I have a very strong belief in that. Everything around my home, I use all of it. It's not just for collecting purposes. And so I want to try all the things. I want to learn about all the things. I want to experience as many things as possible. But I also know that that I want to put them to good use. And I don't want them to just be sitting in a drawer somewhere, never, never being enjoyed. So I guess that would put some sort of subliminal limit on it, I guess. But I don't know what that limit is. I don't technically have one. So that being said, what would you do when another fountain pen and ink comes along? I'd buy it. I'd buy it. If it was something, like I said, that I felt that I had a reason to try. I have a list of, not a list, I don't have a formal list of things I want, pens that I want or ink that I want, but I do know some things that I'd like to try. And so when those things come along for the right price at the right time, I collect multiple things. So sometimes I'm not buying a pen right now because there's a knife that I'm looking at, or a pistol, or a guitar, or a whatever, so I have to use balance throughout my life. But when the right time comes along in the right place and the things fall together and that pen is there, then yes, I will buy it for sure. And also gifts, because I like to buy things for my wife and for my daughter. So if it's something I think they will like, then I will also buy it for them as well. So yeah, I have no problem doing that, especially for gifts. I really like doing that too. Yeah, so it's a never-ending thing around here, I don't think. All right, let's before I let you go, let's go ahead and go through. Let me just kind of give you a general rundown here. So all right, so in the first drawer right here, sorry for the squeaking, we have a Pineider, we have a Diplomat, we have a Monteverde. I don't know if you've ever seen John Wick's pencil, if you've ever seen those movies. Some parts. This is my ink log of all the ink that's in the pens. And then here we have my Mont Blancs. This is a Heinz. This is a Franklin Christoph. Sailors. Carolina Pen Company, Jonathan Brooks. All my TWSBIs. And then in here is a bunch of notebooks and stuff, because I like to experiment with a lot of different papers. And then over here we have some Safaris. This is a pen from North Korea. And I think, and I have a Kakamori dip pen for doing various testing and stuff. And we have room for, and then somebody gave me a bunch of cheap fountain pens that they found at a bookstore. So I haven't looked into them yet. I think it's some cheap Chinese stuff. This is a cheap Waterman. So I'm gonna look into that stuff and clean it up. I haven't done anything with that yet. And then I have another really cool pen that's a desk pen over on my computer desk that I use every day. And it is it's a Russian desk fountain pen that's very, very cool. That I need to do a video strictly just about that pen. Anyway, if you want to see anything specific, groups, like I said, or budgets, or anything like that, or you're curious about anything, or how we use it, what I can concern myself with on this channel more so is these things are very nichey, but how do you make them normal daily life, right? Like how do you work them into your normal daily life? For me, that's journaling, and that is having a notepad with me all the time because I write things down and I make lists and stuff. And so making use of this stuff in daily life is really important to me. So that's the way we do all this stuff around here. So if you're interested in that, get in the comments and let me know if that's something you want to see some videos about specifically about any of this stuff. And until then, thanks for hanging out. My name is Dylan. We will see you in the next video. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe because there's more of this nonsense where this came from.